Wow. Wow. I picked the worst time of day to film. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel if you have not been here before. My name is Maddie, this is my channel, and these are my plants. So today's video is very spontaneous, but I needed to make the most of this amazing hair and outfit day. So this doesn't happen very often. So I am taking full advantage of that today. So I was thinking, you know, what could I film? I kind of was stuck for ideas. So I decided, and obviously you already know because you have seen the title, but I decided I'm going to show you guys some of the plants in my collection that I would consider to be my top favorite low light plants. Now, disclaimer, all plants need light. You can't go sticking a plant in a room with no windows and expect it to grow, because plants, they need light to photosynthesize, and to photosynthesize means to take the energy from the sun and turn it into food. So if you don't give your plant light, it's not going to eat, it's not going to grow, and it's going to die. So don't do that. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the road, now the plants that I'm going to show you, I refer to them as my lower light plants because they are in the positions in my house which gets the least amount of light. Obviously, my idea of low light is probably going to be different to your idea of low light. Okay, so obviously you want to assess your house properly and sort of determine what kind of light you're getting. Now, I find that the best light comes from north, south, and west windows in my house anyway. My east windows never see direct sunlight, whereas my south and west, and sometimes my north, gets a bit of direct sunlight. So those windows are going to be considered high to medium. Okay. When I'm talking low light, I mean the plants that are far back from my windows, so like over the other side of my lounge room, where they're not getting any kind of direct sun and the light is very, very diffused from this light source right here, which is my west window. So this gets the longest amount of direct sun every day, usually from about midday up until 6 o'clock, depending on like daylight savings and things like that. I also use a sheer curtain to filter that direct light as well. So all of these plants receive bright indirect light. Now, when I say indirect light, it means they are getting the full sun, not the direct rays from the sun directly hitting the plant, because a lot of plants will burn if they are hit with direct sunlight. So putting in some kind of filter between the sun and the plant, like a sheer curtain or a screen or something like that, that is going to turn that direct sunlight into bright indirect. Okay? Okay. If you'd like me to go into a more in-depth video about lighting, I do have one from when I first started my YouTube channel, but I would like to do a more updated one now that I'm a little bit more experienced with plants. If you would like to see me do a video explaining what the different types of light are and what plants are suitable for those conditions, please let me know down in the comments below, because I would love to do a updated video on lighting. But otherwise, if you want to see the one that I have already put out, it will be linked in the description box below and you can go and check it out. So I'm gonna stop rambling on about lighting and get to these plants and show you guys my top low light houseplants. So my first plant that I have here is my red vein maranta. Now this plant is the most amazing gift from the plant heavens. This thing grows like it's on some kind of plant steroids, because I have had it for less than 6 months easily, and this thing has tripled, yes, tripled in size. We are in the middle of winter and it is putting out 6 or 7 leaves in one hit. Like, who are you? Who gave you the permission to be so great? So great. And it also flowered for me when I first bought it. So this guy being in the Calathea family, and obviously Calatheas are known to be lower light plants, This guy can survive in low light conditions. Now it is in my west facing window on my plant shelf, but it is on the very, very bottom shelf just here, which I probably think it would receive probably medium light. But just going off the rate of growth that it is already putting out now, I could put it over away from that window and I think it would still be growing absolutely fine. So this is definitely on the very tippy top of my top low light houseplants. Yeah, and if you don't have one already, you really need to invest in one because they are just so rewarding. They just grow so well. I mean, obviously, depending whether you know what you're doing when it comes to plants. Now, this guy does like humidity and it does like to have moist soil. If you do have the knowledge and experience to be able to give it those conditions, then a Maranta is definitely a plant for you. So yeah, that is my red vein Maranta. Okay, so the next plant I have here, it's probably not going to fit in frame, but it is my peace lily. Now, peace lilies make absolutely perfect low light houseplants. Now, this plant sits on the other side of the room from this west facing window. So the light is very, very low, but it still manages to put out leaves all the time and it just looks so healthy and happy. I water this guy when I notice that it's starting to droop. Otherwise, I don't do a whole lot with it. They do prefer to be watered with filtered water. I have noticed with my peace lilies are divas and they get lukewarm filtered water. So they do prefer to have a bit of humidity as well if you can offer it. 50% is usually pretty good for these guys. They could probably tolerate a little bit less, but I generally don't like to let my house get any lower than 40%. As soon as I see the humidity meter hit 40, I put on the humidifier, but it's not often that happens because I'm in a pretty humid environment where I live. So I'm pretty lucky to have the kind of humidity that I have here. So, and my plants appreciate it too. So yeah, that would be my second pick for a low light houseplant. Now I'm gonna go put it back because it's humongous. Sorry if the camera angle keeps changing, but I'm trying to get the best possible lighting I can. I picked the worst time of day to film. The next plant that I have on my list is this beautiful, luscious, terribly tasting parlor palm. Now I have had this plant ever since I first got into houseplants, which would probably almost be 2 years ago now. And this plant is just always looking happy and luscious and it gets neglected. Like, there was a point where I kind of forgot that I even owned it until I looked at it one day and went, oh, you're still here? You haven't died yet? Okay. So this guy, I pretty much let it dry out and it lives in my bathroom, which has the tiniest window ever. So this doesn't get a whole lot of light, yet it's still throwing out fronds everywhere. So I don't know. You can just see, you know, how happy this is. And like I said, I don't do much for it. It gets good humidity in the bathroom, I suppose. But in terms of lighting, it doesn't get much. So this would definitely be another recommendation for a low light houseplant because in my experience, this has been great. This has been the most easiest plant to keep. Like I said, I've had it from the beginning when I had no idea what I was doing and it's still alive. So that said something. So yeah, that is my third choice and that is the beautiful parlor palm. So my third plant is this beautiful variegated cast iron plant. Now I find these to be so underrated, but this guy literally lives over on the opposite side of the room from my west facing window, like most of my plants, and it's doing fine. It's not growing. It could use some more light, but it's surviving in low light. So I let this guy get bone dry before I water it. And usually I'll just kind of wait for it to sort of look a bit droopy and sad, and then I'll give it a good watering. Otherwise, it's not much maintenance. It literally just sits there and looks beautiful. And yeah, I wouldn't mind putting it somewhere with a bit more light so I can, you know, get some new leaves happening out of this guy. But like I said, it is surviving in lower light and it's, you know, it's kind of beautiful just the way it is. It doesn't really need to be any bigger, you know. I just love the beautiful variegation on the leaves. So yeah, that is another super easy houseplant to keep. I also have the Milky Way variety of this one, which also did really well in low light, but I have since put it in my west facing window because I want that one to get big. That one is, where did I move it? There. So that one is just there in my west facing window. So that is the variegated cast iron plant. The next plant that I have here is this beautiful Syngonium. Now, I think it's called the butterfly Syngonium. If I am wrong, I will correct myself on the screen while I'm editing. But this guy lives in my bathroom, so it gets low light, a lot of humidity, and it seems to be really happy in there because it's constantly putting out leaves all the time. There's like a ton of new, I don't know if you can see it, there's like a ton of like new baby leaves in there. So yet again, another plant that does really, really well in low light conditions. This one again, I will let it dry out, or I'll just kind of wait for it to sort of like droop a little bit. Not to the point that it's like completely flat on the bench hanging over the side of the pot, but I did water it a few days ago, so it's looking very, very perky at the moment. I know that Syngoniums are not the most popular genus of houseplants, and there was a point that I didn't like them much, but I think once you get one, you kind of go, ah, yeah, okay, I get it. And you can just see how beautiful the coloring is on the leaves of this plant. This is one of 3 Syngoniums that I own so far, and I'm kind of loving Syngoniums. So yeah, that is my beautiful Syngonium butterfly, I think. I will correct myself if I'm wrong. So my last plant that I have here for my top low light houseplants is, of course, the pothos. We know her, everybody knows who she is. But they are very, very well known for being plants that can just tolerate any kind of conditions you can give it. So this guy I have also had since I got into houseplants. So this is probably about 2 years old, and it's long. It's looking sad because it was tied up onto a stake, but I've recently had to repot it because it fell from my window and the whole thing came out. So it's been repotted, which is why it looks a little sad. I really need to get it back up onto a stake, so I will do that eventually when I get time. This guy, I know for a fact that it can survive and grow in most conditions because I have moved it from my east window to my south window to my west window. It seems to do the best, obviously, in the west window because it's getting the most light, it's photosynthesizing more, it's making more leaves, you know. Anyway, but it still does grow in lower light, you just don't get as much of the variegation. Most of my pothos are all pretty much the same. They all can kind of tolerate any kind of conditions. So I definitely recommend this as a low light plant and a plant for a beginner because these are so resilient and you could just like put them through hell and back and they'd still be kicking. So get yourself a pothos. So yeah, that is my beautiful golden pothos. So that's pretty much it for my top low light houseplants. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you have any other suggestions for low light houseplants, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I would love to find out what you find to be a great low light houseplant, and I'm sure everybody else would love to find out as well. But as always, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like this video and comment down below whether you enjoyed it. It really helps me out, and it's great to get some feedback from you guys to see whether, you know, you guys are enjoying what I'm doing and if I'm doing good things. So, and also if you do enjoy my content, you can always head on over to my YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you get notified when I bring out a new video. But thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. So obviously my the words. I also need to breathe when I'm talking. Okay, it's like a curtain Oh, I just love that. I don't love it in my mouth though. A little bit higher humidity, but not the direct. Coming back to you, I've got a plant to show you. Oh, I'm going all the way across the room, but you can still hear me. Oh, technology is great. Put your back down here, boy.